My name is Dan Thomas. As you can see, I'm a very proud member of the Okanagan Mausoleys. I live in the Lower Mainland. There's a couple guys on the island. There's 2 or 3 of us in the mainland. We all are from the Kelowna Charter. Yeah, I live in Surrey right now. I have 2 beautiful daughters that I'm very proud of. One's a Justice of the Peace in Prince Rupert, so she's kind of a badass. I'm a little scared of her myself. She's like 5 feet tall and 100 pounds. And my other one is a manager in a restaurant. So I just wanted to tell you, I grew up, I had a pretty good childhood. I was into competitive BMX racing. We used to go all over the States and Canada and stuff like that. Apparently I was good. I had some pretty big ass trophies. I have no idea where they are. I think my mom decided to get rid of them, which I'm kind of glad that I don't have them. Yeah, so everything was pretty good. I remember going to church with my parents, or at least Sunday school, I believe. I got some sort of memories about that, so I didn't really grow up in the church like hopefully some of you did. I do remember in grade school going to it must have been a Christian camp. I got vague memories of that, but the one memory that really stands out, we were kind of in a sort of situation like this, and I remember praying with 2 guys. Now, I can only assume it was the sinner's prayer, but being, you know, a young kid, I probably went, you know, whatever, you want me to pray? Sure. I probably didn't have a clue what it all meant. But thinking back, maybe that's where it all started. It could have been where it all started with me. So moving ahead, when I was 15 years old, I was very close to my father. Me and my dad were like rock solid. He took me everywhere. He had owned a farm equipment business. We went to farmers' houses, and I watched as they sealed the deal through some whatever they're drinking. And I remember taking the dog, and my dad would reach down, the dog would take a couple slurps, and he would take a couple, and the dog would take a couple. And so yeah, so then I was 15 years old. I went to school. My father was probably a winter fair. Like I said, he owned a farm equipment business. So he would go away during fairs and stuff like that, I guess, to promote, sell, whatever he did, I don't know. My brother would bring in his snowmobile to school. And then I got pulled out of class, and it just happened to be the snowmobile dealer in the town. I lived in a little town in Manitoba between Winnipeg and Portage Prairie. It was called Eli, just this little French town. I did at one point speak French. No idea what happened after that. I wish I actually still spoke it. So he came and picked me up, and all the way home, all I could think about is I'm going to get my butt slapped because I took my father's snowmobile to school because he's a snowmobile dealer, and I kept asking him, what's going on? And he's like, oh, just told to bring you home, just told to bring you. He made it really light. He's like, no big deal. So I walked in, and there's my mom bawling with a bunch of people around her, and I'm like, what's going on? And she goes, Dad's dead. And I'm thinking, she's never called my father dead. So I'm thinking of her dad. And I'm like, oh, really? Well, that sucks. I wasn't close, and he goes, no, your dad is dead. And I just went, poof. I just went downstairs, started just bawling my eyes out. And so apparently what happened was he went to the washroom in the middle of the night, woke up the salesman. The salesman woke up the next morning. My dad was in the bed, went in, found him on the ground. He's done. He had a big jammer. So needless to say, that was a huge course in my life that totally changed the course of my life. I was devastated. I was totally devastated. I actually don't have a lot of memories after that. They're very, very sparse. I can think of stuff, but I can't put times. It's like a puzzle. I can't put times to it, or I can think of events. I just don't know how old I was. Very, very sparse memory. So I'm not sure if my mind just kind of is blocking it out because of how devastating it was or what. But I do know that I just went south. I just started being a troublemaker. I would be destroying things. I'd be pushing kids around because I was quite big in school. I got pulled out of school by my mom, and then because the school was basically saying they don't want me there no more, I went to live with her cousin in Portage la Prairie. Again, I was very angry. I was smoking pot, doing other things, started playing football. I was really hurting a lot of people. And then finally that school said, enough, they don't want me no more. So I had to leave that school. So then my mom brought me home, and then I had to take a Greyhound bus every morning to go to Winnipeg to go to that school. So needless to say, that school didn't work out. So finally my mom said enough and sent me to a boys' school. And this school was where the teachers carry paddles in their back pocket. And it was for very, very bad kids. Okay? Unfortunately, with my anger and my personality, stuff like that, even the paddles broke up. And I didn't care, because that's just the way I was. So thinking back, how bad was I that I got kicked out of a school for bad kids? Like, how bad do you get kicked out of a school? It's like being released from prison because they can't handle it. That's kind of what it's like. So at that point, my mom just said, she's done. She's had enough. She signed a piece of paper, the government took me over. So from there, I went to a youth school. Or not youth school, a youth center where the government has no idea what to do with you. You're basically signed over to the system, and they just throw you in this thing, and they don't have a clue. And again, I was who I was, very angry, mischievous, doing all kinds of stuff. I was big. Like I said, I was how old, 16 years old, and I was up to 200 pounds by then. So very angry. I started working out. That's about the only good thing that happened, is that I had an ex-NFL football player that happened to be one of the guards, or whatever you want to call him, and he took me under his wing and started working out with me. So that was a big thing for me, because I kind of started something, but yet made it worse. So finally I went into this pilot program for the government. It was called Project Independence. So from there, you basically get a guardian. It's his house, you go and live with him. He basically is a guardian, so you make sure you go to school. If you don't go to school, make sure you work, whatever. So again, being who I was playing football, I was into weightlifting, I started doing steroids. He didn't know about it. Was really hurting a lot of people on the fields. Hurting people in school, and basically he wanted to get married, so he said enough about the guardian thing. And basically the government said fine, and put me up in a place of my own. And then the day I was 18, they came up to me and said, okay, you're done, out you go, you're on your own. So again, I don't have a lot of memories of what I did after. I do remember I was on the streets, I was homeless, I did what I had to do to survive. I was still going to the gym, I was stealing out of lockers. Sometimes I get a hotel, sometimes I did. For some reason, I still had money for steroids. It's like being a drug addict on the street, somehow you still find it. Because that was kind of my drug. The gym was kind of my getaway. And I don't know if you know much about steroids, but it really plays on your personality. So it's true that when you're taking that sort of thing, your anger goes from 100 to 300. So with my anger being the way it was because of my life and thinking, you know, all the evil that's coming my way, it just got bad. Now I turned 17 and somehow I got a job in a bar at 17 years old because I was so big and I looked the way I was and stuff like that. So here's an angry guy that's 250 pounds in a bar doing steroids. That's a recipe for disaster. Okay? Now, when you're like that, you're I don't know how you say it. You're just, you're just a dick. And the stuff that I was doing, I don't know if any of you's ever been in a bar and had to deal with a bouncer, but it's usually not pretty. And I was probably the worst of the worst. So the stuff I was doing in bars, I probably should be in prison. At least for a long time. I actually can't believe it's kind of a ghost in my closet, some of the things I was doing to other human beings, and I can't believe I got away with, and I shouldn't have. I'm not going to get into specifics, but yeah, it really haunts me to this day. I was still homeless, even though I was working in a bars. So I kind of went working in the bars, getting into the wrong crowds, dealing with the wrong people, going down that road, doing things you're not supposed to do, doing things to other people, trying to make a living, trying to make some money. And so the event that kind of turned things around, which might seem bad, but in the long run, it actually worked out pretty good. I got charged and convicted of assault caused bodily harm. It was the first time I was ever charged with stuff like that, which was absolutely amazing. And the funny thing is, I actually didn't do anything. That's the funny thing. All the times I've done something, this one time was just an accident, and I didn't do anything. And I got charged with assault and bodily harm, and I got convicted. So I went to prison. In prison, I met a guy, and this is a real game changer for me. I have a few memories of him. He basically sat me down every day and he talked about God. And I can't remember what he was in for. I think it had something to do with the churches, him challenging churches or calling them out or something. And the one thing that stuck in my mind, and it has since I've been, 17 or 18 years old, he said the one thing to me, he said, "You will never forget me." And I never have. I've never forgotten that man. He's helped me so much. He's the one that kickstarted everything. And I can hardly wait to see him in heaven, because I definitely want to give that guy a big hug. And I'm pretty sure he'll be one of the first guys I've ever seen. So I got out of prison and I went back into the bars. I finally said, you know something, enough's enough. And I got inspired, and I'm not sure why, to get my Class 1 license. So I went driving. Looks like I don't have much time.
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. I went truck driving because I just needed to get away. I needed to get away from my problems. I needed to get away from town, away from everything, get away from the steroids, get away from the drugs, everything else that I just needed to get away. So I figured, hey, what's the perfect way? Jump in the truck, go across Canada, go in the States. Well, mind you, I couldn't go in the States. So fast forward, I did that for a couple of years, and I got the opportunity to move to BC with the company I was with. So I jumped on that. I'm like, I'm out of Winnipeg. I gotta go. Let's go to beautiful BC and let's start over. So that's what I did. So I jumped around from trucking company, and finally I got on with Coca-Cola. Now, that I figured was the end all, the be all job. This is what I'm gonna do, is drive around and deliver 2 tons of pop every day. And I figured it, so I did that for 9 years, and then I got the bug. I don't want to do this the rest of my life. I'm delivering pop. Here's some pop, here's some pop, here's some pop. I heard all the pop stories and the Coke stories and the Pepsi stories. So I got interested in crane operating. So I quit, got on with the crane company, did my apprenticeship, and got my crane ticket. Now this is where what really changed my life. I was on a job site with a coworker. We got chit-chatting, and he came right out and said, "I'm a Christian." And I was like, wow, okay. And then me still thinking the lie that if you are a good person, you get your golden ticket. Even though after what that guy said to me in jail, I was still under that lie. And I knew there was more to life there, because I mean, look at everybody, you're built perfectly, you're the world and stuff like that. So I knew there was something. So going back to him, he said to me, I listened to 55 AM, which is a Christian radio station. So I was like, cool. Well, so I started listening to it. And I learned, and I listened, and I listened from like the morning I woke up to I go to sleep. I listened, and I read the Bible, started reading the Bible. And I remember I was 37 years old, going to a job site, listening to a sermon. I pulled into the job site, and I lost it. I just broke down. I just lost it. And I just bent down, and I asked God, I said, please forgive me. And I just asked Jesus to be my Lord and Savior. So I'm bawling my eyes out, and then I looked down, and there's the guy standing there staring at me. And I'm just like, and all he did is look at me, and he goes, I want you over there. And I said, okay. So I went over, did my job, and from that moment on, I knew, I could feel it in my heart that Jesus entered me. Yeah. Right there. Right there. So I just want to end by telling you guys that don't be scared to anybody to say, I'm a Christian, I'm a child of God.
Amen.
Don't be scared to just, you're going to have a conversation with somebody, you just don't realize what you say could be the key thing that's going to send that person to Christ. Something simple, that guy said, I listened to a radio station that's a Christian radio station. That's all they said. Boom, that led me to Christ. That's all it takes. So don't be scared. That's it.